GroomersTake NHL playoff preview. Vancouver Canucks, Minnesota Wild. This series I have no clue about. I'll just start off by saying that. Vancouver Canucks have a lot of young firepower. Let's get right into it. The top line, Tanner Pearson, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser. Absolutely a good line. Tanner Pearson, the veteran of the line. Bo Horvat, the new captain. And Brock Besser, the young stud coming up. Second line, JT Miller with Elias Pettersson and Tyler Toffoli. Tyler Toffoli, a great ad for this team coming over from LA at the trade deadline. These guys will be a good top six forward for Vancouver. See if they can get it done for the Canucks. Let's look at the Wild firepower. Now, this is a lot different. This is a lot scrambled. They've balanced a lot of their lines. You're looking at Stahl and Fiala on the top line. Eric Stahl looking pretty good this year. He's your first line center alongside Kevin Fiala. Kevin Fiala turned it on in the last few weeks of the season. I don't know if he's going to be that consistent moving forward for the rest of this playoff and the rest of his career. Time will tell. I'm iffy about it. Their second line, they have Zach Parise and Luke Kunin on it. Luke Kunin is a young guy. He can get it done. Bit of a bigger body, not as much skill, but Parise still has enough skill to maybe help out. The rest of it, you're looking at Galchenyuk and Zuccarello on your third line. Zuccarello on a third line is absolutely gold to me. He's a great player. And they're hoping Alex Galchenyuk can kind of find something for him. I know he was highly touted in Montreal, didn't work out. Got traded to Arizona, didn't work out there either. Let's see if he can get something going for the Wild. Other than that, not much firepower for the Minnesota Wild on the front. So I'm giving this category, of course, to that top six of the Vancouver Canucks. Let's look at a little depth going down in both teams' lineups. Forward depth for the Vancouver Canucks, you have Antoine Roussel, Adam Gaudette, and Michael Ferland on the third line. That's a pretty good third line. Ferland can pot a couple. Gaudette, young kid, and Antoine Roussel, he'll be a pest out there. He'll make people angry and maybe pot a couple here and there. You never know. And then the fourth line, they got Tyler Might, Jay Beagle. Good pickup for them. Good veteran presence in the dressing room and on the ice. And then you have Brendan Sutter. Brendan Sutter, here and there, not that great, but he can chip in once in a while. Good fourth line winger. And you compare it to the depth from the Wild. They have Jordan Greenway. I like Jordan Greenway. I have him here more as a depth guy, but they have him on the top line. I think he's a good complementary player for Stahl and Fiala. We'll see how that works out. They have Eriksson Ek centering the second line with Parise and Kunin. I think he's pretty good depth for them. He can play both positions, center and right wing. We'll see how he does there. And you have Marcus Foligno on the third line, left wing, playing with Galchenyuk and Zuccarello. Look out for that line. That's a pretty good line to have. Foligno, go hard, hits you. And then with Galchenyuk and Zuccarello, you never know what could happen. And also, let's not look away from this fourth line that Minnesota has in Ryan Donato. Mikko Koivu, he's older now. He's at the downswing of his career, going from like a top tier first, second line center. Now he's on the fourth. He can still get it done for you. He can win faceoffs. We'll see how that works out. And they have Ryan Hartman on the right side. Ryan Hartman, he's been around to a few teams, but guaranteed every team loves having this guy on it. I'm going to give the depth here in that point to the Minnesota Wild. I think that bottom six is fantastic, and we'll see how it does for them in game one of this series. Let's look at the defensive cores for both teams. I think for firepower with the Vancouver Canucks, you're looking at Edler on the first line. He can still get it done. He's a good player to have. Troy Stecher on the third line, young guy, can put up some points. But of course I wanted to leave Quinn Hughes for last year for firepower on the defense. He's going to play on the second pairing, left side, Calder candidate. In my mind, future Norris winner, 100%. Young, obviously, and some growing to do, but he looks very confident on the ice, so they'll need him to step up if they want to make it past the Minnesota Wild. Looking at some D for the Minnesota Wild, we have Ryan Suter. Of course, he's a future Hall of Famer in my mind, puts up a lot of points, can still get it done at his age. Second line, you have Matt Dumba. Matt Dumba, a little bit riddled with injury this year. Didn't come back looking that well. But hopefully he can pick it up after really taking this last 4 months off, getting his body ready. I'm a big Matt Dumba fan. I think he'll be a big piece. And then you have Susie and Hunt on the third line. This is one of the better third pairing defensive lines that I've seen. I like Susie and I like Hunt. They can get both jobs done, defensive and offensively. We'll see how that goes for them. And then you have Tyler Myers for depth for the Vancouver Canucks. You know, a good player, not a lot of points, but he's a stay-at-home kind of guy. He can get the puck out of your zone. Chris Tanev and then Fantenberg. I'm not sure who Fantenberg is, but Tanev's a really good player to have on the back end for sure. And then to round out the depth for the Minnesota Wild on defense, you have Brodin and Jared Spurgeon. Both very good players. I know Spurgeon was a guy that might have been traded, but I'm glad they held on to him. And overall, I think as a core, I'm going to give the depth to the Minnesota Wild. And overall, I'm looking at the Minnesota Wild's defense over the Vancouver Canucks. Going to give it to them there. Let's get into the goalies here. We have Jakob Markstrom and Thatcher Demko for the Vancouver Canucks. Markstrom's had an incredible year. I don't even know if Vancouver signed him yet, but I think you should give him the money. He's gonna put up good numbers for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Good goalie to have. Going up against goalies in Minnesota Wild in Devin Dubnyk and Alex Stalock. Devin Dubnyk was injured. He came back. He's had one heck of a career he was out of the NHL for a while, sitting in the AHL in the Montreal Canadiens system. Comes back to Minnesota and just revamps his career. I think he still has a lot of fuel in the tank. He's going to get it done for the Minnesota Wild. Overall, I'll give the goalie stats to Vancouver, though. With the season Markstrom had and Dubnyk missing the time, I think Markstrom's going to take top spot here over Dubnyk in the series. Overall, you're looking at a 5-game series here. Somebody's going to win 3-2. I think the veteran presence of the Minnesota Wild and the experience that they have will beat the Vancouver Canucks 3-2. Minnesota Wild in 5 games. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later.